back to KSP 101. We are going to pick back 13, where we are going to be building the transfer section of our Duna+Ike lander here. Now, while I was on that quick break just now, it did occur to me something that I've done in the past that could be particularly useful for this mission, where we have that station in orbit around Duna instead of Ike, and don't necessarily want to waste the fuel to move it to Ike first, but we'll get to that. For now, let's place a large reaction control wheel here instead of the root part, and place one under it, setting it to heaviest part. And now this is where we are going to get to what I was talking about. First, let's go to our structural parts and grab the larger adapter, the Rocco Max brand adapter 2, and we'll place it here. Now for the fun part. We're going to set that to grandparent part, and then we are going to stick a docking port. Yeah, we're going to take a docking port and stick it upside down on the bottom of that, set it to grandparent port, and then we're going to copy it, place it back upright, and connect it there. Then we are going to grab the smaller adapter. We'll grab that, placing it there. We will not have to auto strut it, but it is there that we are going to go to our pods and grab the Probodyne hex and place it. Well, actually, let's set that to the side, copy this, turn it upside down, and then place that there. And then we're going to grab another adapter and place it under that. Make sure that this is set to heaviest part. And we are going to make a dockable, controllable probe fuel tank that we are going to leave in orbit of Ike once we get there, and undock from to land on Ike, and then return to refuel, and possibly use to transfer us to Duna. And if there's still any fuel left in it, we're going to take it to the station, dock it to the station, then make our landing at Duna happen, and then return to orbit and dock up with either one of those to refuel. And it's also going to act as a second relay, hopefully, that we can take out to Ike, to have around Ike once we're finished. Or we can just stick it in the large equatorial orbit of Duna. That way we will have another relay in Duna for a more better communications relay system in that system. Alright, so we have essentially two vessels that we're going to be making here now, and because of that, it's going to get a little more complicated. Let's take another adapter and place it here so we can strut the massive gap here, and so it doesn't create too much of a complication during the launch. Let's go to our strut, set them here close to the outside edge at radial. I need to fix that real fast. Let's just place those for now, grab them again, go back to our radial menu, and put that back to parent port, and then we'll set it to radial 8 and strut those up to about the same spot on the other adapter, and then we will place 8 more, 2 more times around it, nice and perpendicular, like so. So this is going to get pretty wild, but bear with me. I've done this many times. So once we get these set where they need to be, it's going to start getting a little laggy. It's going to be a bit of a laggy launch at first too, because we are going to have so many parts on this thing, but it will be worth it. It'll make it easier and it will work out. So once we have our struts ready here, Then we need to focus on the controllability of this vessel. Let's go down to our utility, take some lights, and we'll place these lights about here. Let's make sure that they're aiming up towards the docking port, and we'll set it to radial 2. Get rid of the blue, turn them on, move the green down a little bit, make it look a little brickish. That's just the way I want it, because I like to make them set to the planet that we're going to. Alright, very good. Now that we have that, let's go to place. Let's turn those lights off. And the next order of business we're going to need to take care of here is setting some signs on it, just in case we need to fulfill some contract obligation to get some easy money, where it's going to be a relay after we're done with it, and hopefully a relay around Ike, so we can have a relay to transmit science from the space around Ike for easy money if that contract ever happens to pop up. So now we have that out of the way. Let's put our communication devices on this. Let's see, we need to place this somewhere where it's not going to interfere with anything. We might have to put that on the actual structural part of the secondary relay vessel itself. So for now, let's try to put some communitrons on it instead. See if there's anywhere safe that we can place that. Might be able to just set them here if it looks okay once we extend it. We can raise it up a little bit without it hopefully popping into the docking port. Let's find out where it will. Looks like we need to make sure it's not any higher than about there, so let's lower it down to about here, maybe? Ah, okay, actually let's just move those over 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. We'll set it to radial 4. And once we undock this, those struts will disappear and won't get in the way of that. So let's set that to grandparent part and retract those antennas. That should be okay. But we do also want to make sure to put some RCS ports up there. We're going to place more in another spot here soon, but for now, let's place these about here. And honestly, it wouldn't hurt much if we take... Oh no, that's fine. We'll place the reaction wheel for this vessel about here. Set it to heaviest part, since we're only using one. These two up here are going to be for controlling all of this together once we have it all put together, but for now we'll place that there, and we are going to put a 2.5 meter fairing here, and I guess we're going to have to poke it out just a little bit, and we'll move it up to about here, and then make it flush with the reaction control wheel there, so we can protect all that, and set it up to where it's going to eject at near 500. And for this, I like to use as close to max sides possible, and auto strut to grandparent part. So it has communication ability, control, lights, science, and a docking port. Now we just need to give it some fuel and its relays. So let's go for the largest Rocco Max tank that we can find, which is the Jumbo 64. Place it at the bottom. Auto strut it to grandparent part. We need to grab a hold of our command pod, move this up as high as we can get it now. Which will be about there. Let's go back down to the bottom. Once we get there, let's save our progress. This is where we're going to place our relay dishes that hopefully won't burn up in the launch. We'll do radial 6 for some strong relayability. Auto strut all those to grandparent part, and we'll move them in 1, maybe 2 spaces, depending on what they look like. They may interfere with one another. They are. So let's go back to our place tool and just set it to 4 instead. Like so. And then we'll move them in until they start to move too far into the vessel, which is right there. So we'll move it out 1 space. That should be fine. Nice and stable. We need to add some monopropellant tanks now. We're only going to put about, say, 4 of these. About here. Set those to grandparent part. Move them into the tank until they are nice and inside of that fuel tank. And then let's go back to our command and control, grab some RCS. We'll place these a little under the center of this fuel stage, about here. We have 1 more set of these to go, but before we get to those, let's go to our fuel tanks and add one of the mid-sized Rocco Max tanks to the bottom. Set to radial 1, and then set it to grandparent part. It looks like we can add just a hair more. Let's grab the smallest of the Rocco Max tanks, placing it there. Set that to grandparent part, and then we will grab a mainsail tank or engine and place it at the bottom. So now our objective is to get both this stage and this stage into orbit around Ike. There's 1, maybe 2 more pieces of business we need to handle here with this stage though. We need to add some power. We'll place these photovoltaic panels here, radial 4, set those to grandparent part. And then we will add 2 of these batteries about here, setting them to radial 2. And then we need to move those into the fuel tank. Looks like we've exceeded our max parts, but that's okay. We have some money. We are going to upgrade our facility before we launch this. Make sure there's nothing else we need to add to this stage. I'm not believing there is. Nope. Looks like that's going to be fine. Let's make sure the staging is good first though. We need to go up here and enable the docking port. Either one is fine. We just need to then locate that docking port, which looks like it's right there. Let's put it in its own stage, which will take place. Stage the fairing. We can then undock it. Ah, okay, so that's the one for the nose cone, right? No, that's the decoupler up there. We need to swap that decoupler with that one above it. There we go. There is the docking port. So once the fairing goes off, we'll undock it. And then, once we reorient this vessel, we can stage here, activating the engines and decoupling to land on Ike. And if you get the docking port used as the decoupler warning down here, it's okay. That's kind of the point. Let's save that. Now we just need to build a stage to launch, a stage to make orbit around Kerbin with a mid-stage in between those, and the transfer stage. Maybe even a little bit more oomph to not have to use this so much for making orbit around Ike. So let's go ahead and put a TD25 decoupler under this mainsail and set it to grandparent part. And we're going to grab 4 of these. But the first we will set to root part, then copy. And then we'll grab another, set it to heaviest part. It's getting a tad laggy. We're moving up in that part count. Alright, now that we have those, let's go to our fuel tanks and grab the S3 series adapter, which I just passed. There it is. We'll grab it, we'll place it here, set it to grandparent part, and then after we place the mid-sized S3 tank, I'm going to use the D-pad while it's in the cycle part of the menu to move it over to mass by hitting right on the D-pad and then push down on the D-pad to put the heaviest parts at the top. I'm going to grab the largest S3 tank there is and see how much mass that puts on us. Too much. Okay, so we'll take it off and go one step down. As soon as it lets me have control again, there we go. We'll grab the 7200 series of the S3 and place it there. That's much better. We'll set it to grandparent part. This will be hopefully part of the transfer and orbit around Ike using the Rhino engine. Placed here and set to root. Then we're going to grab our move tool and the adapter and move it up to being flush with the bottom of that decoupler. And then we're going to set some struts, much like we did for that new dockable fuel tank. Let's go to our struts. We're going to go radial 8, setting it up as high as possible, like so. As soon as it loads up and gives me control, there we go. Alright, our highest point looks like it's going to be about here. Find the center and make the placement. That's going to be good enough. Make sure all 8 of those sides grab onto something. If not, go to the one that isn't grabbing anything and set it from there instead. There's the center. We'll place it there. Or try to at least. Lag, lag, lag. Okay, let's go up. Where'd it go? Come on. It's getting a little funny on us. Okay, there we go. And try to find the center. Looks like it should be about there. Let's place it. It's going to move around a little bit, but it will be okay. Let's go back down here. Let's copy that. Move it over one space, do the same thing 2 more times. Want to place those about there so the strut looks like it's actually going straight up and down and not too far off. Looks like those didn't place, so let's go down there. Let's grab it again. Try to line it up to the center of the strut, and then we can just go straight up. And we'll just place it just a little below that top point, like right there this time. See if that helps. All of those should be grabbing. See, 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, very good. Let's go back down here. Let's copy it one more time and place these last of the struts for this part of the vessel. Find the center of that strut, put the mouse there, move it up, try to place it like we did last time, about there. Should be okay, we'll find out. Looks like we have all the struts connected, very good. Looking good too. Let's save our progress. And we need to build the last part of the central stage. We still have a little bit more building to go though. It's going to be a pretty big vessel. We're going to grab the TD-37, place it here, radial 1. And let's auto strut that to grandparent part. Now we're not going to put any more reaction wheels on the center stage, but more are coming. Let's get our largest S4 tank, get it ready, grab the S4 adapter and place it right under that. We'll set that to grandparent port. I really hope we have enough funding to be able to upgrade our VAB. But let's place that onto the tank, both of those tanks being set to grandparent port. And we have one more piece of the fuel tank to build, which is the engine cluster adapter at the bottom. We're going to have to raise our vessel just a little more after setting this to grandparent port. Let's Just go up here until the command pod is right at the top of the screen, and then we will grab it and move it up a little higher if it'll let us. There we go. Now we should have enough space at the bottom to be able to put these engines on. We're also going to have the strut here. Let's go ahead and do that. It's these tiny little details like this that are tedious to do but will save your life, because without them the vessel will break in half. So let's move these up to where they're right below there. Make sure they all connect. Looking good. Go back down. Do this 2 more times. Let's go back up and down and up and down. Let's place those about there. Make sure they all connect. Very good. One last set of struts and then we'll build the engines and we'll get to the fun part of the launch stage. We're going to be asparagus staging some Rocco Maxes with some mainsails. So let's place these there right below the other struts. Let's try to move those to where they're leaning more towards the left instead of rotating to the right. And they should place nice and fine. Looks like we have all 24 of those connected. Let's move back down to the bottom. Plenty of space for this. Alright, we are going to put a rhino instead of a mainsail on the central stage. And we are not going to be able to use mainsails like the last time we built a vessel like this. Instead, we are going to have to go to our mammoth and use the D-pad up to cycle through the sizes, grabbing the middle size and placing 4 of those on the outer part of that adapter. Make sure all these engines are set to root. Very good. And now for the fun part. Let's grab the, where are they at? And the decouplers. Let's go down here. Remember, we are set to mass at the top right now. TT70 decouplers. Radial 4. Find the center of this stage. Should be about there. Set it to radial 4. And then make sure those are set to grandparent part. And we want those where I place them for a reason, because if we place them here, these might interfere with what we're about to do. But let's go here to where we have that in view and grab the jumbo Rocco Max tank. And when we do, go back up here, take note of the mass. It's 36 tons. So we're going to use one here, set nice and even on that decoupler. It's a little laggy, so it's a little hard to stop the mouse from moving too much. There we go. I think it's nice and even there now. Let's move it down just a hair. Set that to grandparent part as soon as we gain control of the mouse again. There we go. Grandparent part. Come on. You're making me look bad in front of my friends. Okay. And then we'll copy that. This is going to make it 720 tons. And that's about where we're going to cut that off. So then, let's place those at the bottom of that stage, or those stages. Oh, okay. Come on, laggy. There we go. I set those to root part. And then this is where we're going to add more reaction control wheels after we set this to root part. Come on. Let's go back up here, zoom in, go to our command and control, and we're going to place 4 of these. But the first 2 are going to be set to heaviest, where they're going to be on the bottom. So we'll take that and copy it, if it'll let us. There we go. And we'll go back to our menu, grab a fresh one. Come on now. Okay. And then place one there, setting it to root where it's going to be at the top. And then let's add the nose cones. Go to our aerodynamic menu. Starting to get a little rough with so many parts right now, but it'll be fine. Let's grab the orange set, place, and set them to grandparent part. Come on. There we go. Now, come on, cooperate. Alright. So rough and laggy right now. We're gonna,